Imagine a world where every religion claims to have the sole key to truth, demanding unwavering devotion and condemning those who follow different paths. Now picture something radically different, a spiritual tradition that does not seek to replace others, but to complement them, a philosophy that encourages exploration rather than blind faith. That is Buddhism. In a time when religious exclusivity dictated social structures and politics, Buddhism emerged as a radical force that rewrote the rules of spiritual engagement. Unlike many religions that sought dominance, Buddhism built bridges, harmonizing with local traditions, integrating foreign philosophies, and evolving without losing its essence. This is the reason it has survived, flourished, and continues to inspire millions worldwide. A viewer recently asked, "I love Buddhist philosophy, but I don't want to abandon my Christian faith. Can I do both?" This question isn't just a modern curiosity, it is a testament to Buddhism's unique approach to religion, an approach that has stood the test of time, enabling it to adapt, grow, and resonate across cultures. In this video, we'll explore how Buddhism has not only accepted other religions, but has thrived alongside them, bringing unity where others saw division. Stay with us till the end to uncover how this perspective can change the way we approach spirituality today. The global spread and adaptability of Buddhism. Consider what happened when Buddhism arrived in China. Instead of attempting to replace Taoism and Confucianism, Buddhist teachers said, "Your beliefs about harmony with nature? Perfect. Let us show you how meditation can deepen that experience." This open-mindedness led to an unprecedented blending of traditions where Taoist philosophy and Confucian ethics merged with Buddhist mindfulness and compassion. The same phenomenon occurred in Japan, where Buddhist temples became places of worship that honored both Buddhist and Shinto traditions. Even today, it is common to see a person bow to Shinto deities, then ring a Buddhist bell, all within the same sacred space. This synergy wasn't just a strategic adaptation, it was a fundamental reflection of Buddhist philosophy, which sees truth as multifaceted rather than absolute. This integration was not merely a passive acceptance of other traditions. It was an active engagement that allowed Buddhism to evolve while respecting the cultural values of the places it reached. For example, in Tibet, Buddhism merged with the indigenous Bon religion, creating a unique blend of esoteric rituals, visualization practices, and spiritual teachings. This adaptability ensured that Buddhism did not merely coexist with existing traditions, but enhanced them, offering new insights and practical applications. Contrast this with the exclusivity of many religious traditions. For centuries, religious identity was not merely a matter of personal belief, it was a matter of survival. Throughout history, conversion often came with an ultimatum: join or face exile, persecution, or even death. This was true in the Roman Empire, where early Christians hid in catacombs, in medieval Europe, where religious minorities were expelled or executed, and in many other societies where state and religion were deeply intertwined. Buddhism's ability to integrate without seeking domination allowed it to flourish even in regions where other religions had deep historical roots. In Thailand, for instance, Buddhist traditions absorbed elements of local animist beliefs, incorporating spirit houses and protective rituals into Buddhist practice. This blend created a religious environment that felt familiar to local practitioners while still allowing them to engage with the deeper teachings of Buddhism. In modern times, this adaptability continues. The mindfulness movement, which has gained significant traction in the West, owes much to Buddhist meditation techniques. Hospitals use mindfulness practices to help patients manage pain and anxiety. Corporations employ mindfulness training to enhance productivity, and even military organizations utilize Buddhist-inspired techniques to improve focus and decision-making under pressure. This widespread adoption is possible because Buddhism does not demand belief in a particular deity or adherence to a rigid dogma. Instead, it offers practical methods that can be tested and verified by experience. Whether someone identifies as Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or atheist, they can incorporate Buddhist meditation into their daily lives without feeling a contradiction in their faith. Additionally, Buddhism's approach to knowledge and self-inquiry encourages dialogue rather than confrontation. Instead of attempting to convert others, Buddhist teachers have historically sought to engage in philosophical discussions, learning from different traditions, while also offering insights from their own. This approach has made Buddhism one of the few religious traditions that has consistently spread without violent conquest. Even in places where Buddhism faced persecution, such as during the Cultural Revolution in China or under colonial rule in Southeast Asia, it persisted because its core teachings resonated on a deeply human level. People returned to meditation, mindfulness, and compassion, not because they were forced to, but because these practices brought tangible benefits to their lives. Thus, the adaptability of Buddhism is not just an accident of history, it is an essential feature of its philosophy. By focusing on experience over dogma, it remains relevant and accessible across cultures, languages, and spiritual traditions. This flexibility ensures that Buddhism will continue to evolve, offering wisdom and practical guidance for generations to come. Buddhism's unique approach to spirituality. Buddhism, however, has never needed to defend a divine mandate or enforce orthodoxy. The Buddha did not claim to receive divine revelations. He did not position himself as a god or a messenger of God. Instead, he described himself as a guide who had discovered a path to liberation through meditation and self-inquiry. His teachings were not divine commands but empirical observations. Here is a method that leads to freedom from suffering. Try it for yourself and see if it works. This approach fundamentally changed how Buddhism interacted with other religions. Consider the famous story of the fire worshippers who challenged the Buddha. Expecting a confrontation, they were instead met with an astonishing response. The Buddha did not denounce their rituals or demand that they abandon their faith. Instead, he said, "Your fire worship? Keep it. But let me show you another kind of fire, the fire of anger, greed, and delusion that burns within us. And let me teach you how to master it." This willingness to meet people where they are, to enhance rather than replace their beliefs, allowed Buddhism to spread peacefully across Asia. In contrast to religious movements that expanded through conquest or forced conversion, Buddhism flourished through adaptation and integration. In Greece, it influenced Hellenistic philosophy. In Tibet, it blended with indigenous shamanic traditions. In Japan, it coexisted with Shintoism in a way that strengthened both traditions. Beyond these regions, Buddhism's impact stretched into Southeast Asia, where it harmonized with local animist traditions and folk religions. In Cambodia and Myanmar, Buddhist practices integrated with indigenous spiritual beliefs, leading to a unique blend of ancestor worship, protective talismans, and Buddhist mindfulness. Instead of eradicating older traditions, Buddhism provided a structure to refine and elevate spiritual practice without invalidating what came before. In modern psychological research, studies have shown that the Buddhist approach to spirituality aligns with cognitive science. The idea that spiritual truth must be tested through experience rather than accepted on faith alone is now mirrored in secular mindfulness practices. Neuroscientific studies on meditation have demonstrated its impact on mental well-being, showing reduced stress, enhanced cognitive function, and increased emotional resilience. These findings support what Buddhists have known for centuries. Experience, not dogma, is the foundation of deep spiritual transformation. Additionally, the Buddhist perspective on impermanence and non-attachment resonates deeply with contemporary existential philosophy. The concept that suffering arises from clinging, whether to ideas, identities, or material possessions, is increasingly recognized in modern self-help and therapeutic frameworks. Many modern thinkers, including psychologists and philosophers, have drawn upon Buddhist insights to develop approaches that help individuals navigate personal crises and existential dilemmas. A key reason Buddhism remains relevant is its refusal to impose rigid dogma. While other religious traditions often require strict adherence to a set of beliefs, Buddhism allows individuals to explore and validate teachings for themselves. This flexibility has made it accessible to people from vastly different backgrounds, whether they identify as religious or secular. Moreover, in contemporary interfaith dialogues, Buddhist perspectives are often sought after due to their non-confrontational nature. Unlike religions that engage in theological debates over exclusive truth claims, Buddhism approaches these conversations with a sense of curiosity rather than competition. This quality makes Buddhism a unique bridge between different worldviews, fostering harmony and understanding where ideological clashes might otherwise arise. The adaptability of Buddhism is further reflected in its response to global challenges. As environmental concerns grow, Buddhist principles of interconnectedness and compassion for all beings offer a framework for ethical, ecological stewardship. In movements advocating for social justice, engaged Buddhism, practiced by figures like Thich Nhat Hanh and the Dalai Lama, has provided a nonviolent, mindful approach to activism that integrates wisdom with action. Thus, Buddhism's unique approach to spirituality is not only a relic of the past, but a living, evolving tradition that continues to shape thought, well-being, and inter-religious harmony today. Its emphasis on direct experience, personal transformation, and mutual respect ensures its relevance in an increasingly complex world. The practical influence of Buddhism today. Even today, Buddhism continues to offer tools that transcend religious boundaries. Christian contemplatives find that Buddhist mindfulness deepens their prayer life. Muslim scholars recognize parallels between Islamic presence practices and Buddhist meditation. Jewish meditation centers incorporate Buddhist techniques to enrich their spiritual practices. And in secular spaces, from Silicon Valley to hospitals and military training programs, Buddhist mindfulness is being used to improve mental clarity, resilience, and well-being. This open-ended, experience-based approach was perhaps best exemplified by Emperor Ashoka of India. After converting to Buddhism, he did something extraordinary. He did not impose Buddhism as the state religion. Instead, he built temples and monuments for all religions within his empire, championing religious freedom at a time when such an idea was virtually unheard of. While other rulers waged holy wars, Ashoka promoted religious tolerance, demonstrating that Buddhism's emphasis on coexistence was not just theoretical, but practical. Beyond historical examples, the practical influence of Buddhism today can be seen in various aspects of modern life. The growing popularity of mindfulness-based stress reduction (MBSR) programs, developed by Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn, is a direct result of Buddhist meditation techniques being applied to help people manage anxiety, depression, and chronic pain. These practices have been widely adopted in psychotherapy, showing that the Buddhist approach to mental well-being remains deeply relevant. Additionally, Buddhist principles are increasingly being integrated into corporate culture. Companies like Google and Apple offer mindfulness training to their employees to enhance productivity, focus, and workplace satisfaction. The idea that cultivating present moment awareness and reducing attachment to stressful thoughts can improve professional and personal life is now recognized in leading businesses worldwide. Buddhism's teachings also have a significant impact on global social movements. Figures like Thich Nhat Hanh and the Dalai Lama have championed the idea of engaged Buddhism, which encourages practitioners to take their mindfulness and compassion off the meditation cushion and into the world. Whether it is promoting nonviolent activism, environmental stewardship, or humanitarian efforts, Buddhist principles provide a framework for ethical action that extends beyond personal enlightenment. Furthermore, Buddhism's emphasis on interconnectivity has contributed to the rise of ethical consumerism. Many individuals and organizations draw inspiration from Buddhist values when making choices about sustainable living, ethical investing, and compassionate leadership. The principle of ahimsa, non-harm, has led to the growing popularity of plant-based diets, cruelty-free products, and eco-conscious lifestyles that align with the Buddhist idea of reducing suffering for all beings. The adaptability of Buddhist teachings ensures their relevance in modern education as well. Schools and universities across the world are incorporating mindfulness programs to help students develop emotional intelligence, manage stress, and cultivate greater focus. This secular adaptation of Buddhist meditation practices is proving to be highly effective in fostering resilience and mental clarity in young learners. Even in the realm of criminal justice, Buddhist-inspired practices are being implemented to reform the prison system. Programs that teach meditation to incarcerated individuals have shown promising results in reducing aggression, improving emotional regulation, and fostering rehabilitation. This demonstrates how the core Buddhist principles of self-awareness and non-attachment can be applied to create real, tangible change in society. Ultimately, the practical influence of Buddhism today extends far beyond religious circles. By offering universally applicable tools for inner peace, ethical living, and compassionate action, Buddhism continues to shape how people navigate modern challenges. Its teachings provide a timeless guide for living with wisdom, mindfulness, and compassion, proving that an ancient tradition can remain profoundly relevant in the contemporary world. 3 core insights of Buddhism's inclusive approach. 1. Different paths can lead to the same summit. The Buddha recognized that various religious traditions are like different trails up a mountain. The specifics of the path matter less than the journey itself. What is important is whether a practice leads to the reduction of suffering and the cultivation of wisdom and compassion. This idea has profound implications for interfaith dialogue and religious tolerance. Instead of focusing on differences, individuals and communities can look for shared values and common ethical principles that unite them. The emphasis is not on conversion, but on the practical application of teachings that help people lead more compassionate, mindful lives. This insight also resonates in modern psychology and personal development. Just as there is no single correct method for self-improvement, there is no singular religious or philosophical approach to enlightenment. Whether through Christian prayer, Islamic meditation, Jewish Kabbalistic contemplation, or Buddhist mindfulness, different traditions offer pathways to inner peace. The key is to find a method that works and stay committed to its practice. 2. People resist forced conversion but embrace effective tools. When individuals feel pressured to change their beliefs, they resist. But when they are given practices that enhance their existing faith, they naturally integrate those insights. This is why Buddhist techniques have been adopted across religious and secular communities alike. Many Christian monasteries have incorporated Buddhist mindfulness into their contemplative practices. Similarly, Islamic Sufi traditions have found deep resonance with Buddhist approaches to meditation and presence. The same principle applies to secular spaces. Mindfulness and meditation are now staples in psychotherapy, education, and corporate well-being programs. These techniques are not presented as religious doctrines, but as practical methods for enhancing mental clarity and emotional regulation. The effectiveness of Buddhist-inspired tools in modern contexts demonstrates their universality and adaptability. This adaptability also plays a crucial role in diplomacy and conflict resolution. Instead of trying to convince others that one's perspective is superior, a more effective approach is to offer tools that improve understanding and reduce suffering. Buddhist teachings provide a model for this kind of engagement, one based on respect, shared humanity, and practical wisdom rather than ideological competition. 3. Truth is not just something you believe, it is something you experience. Reading about meditation is not the same as practicing it. Talking about compassion is not the same as living it. Buddhism prioritizes direct experience over abstract doctrine, making it uniquely adaptable and widely applicable. This focus on experience explains why many people who engage in Buddhist practices report profound personal transformations, regardless of their religious background. Neuroscientific research supports this emphasis on experience. Studies on meditation have shown that regular practice physically alters the brain, increasing gray matter in areas associated with emotional regulation and reducing activity in the amygdala, the region responsible for fear and stress responses. These findings validate what Buddhists have known for centuries. Transformation happens through practice, not mere belief. This insight also aligns with contemporary trends in self-help and personal growth. Many people today are moving away from rigid dogmas and toward experiential spirituality. They want practices that help them navigate life's challenges, cultivate inner peace, and foster meaningful relationships. Buddhism offers a framework that is not only ancient, but also deeply relevant in modern times. Furthermore, this principle has ethical implications. Instead of basing morality on external commandments, Buddhism encourages individuals to cultivate virtues such as kindness, patience, and equanimity through personal effort. Ethical behavior becomes a lived experience rather than a prescribed rule, making it more sustainable and deeply ingrained in one's character. The idea that truth is something to be experienced rather than merely accepted also influences Buddhist approaches to education. In Buddhist monastic traditions, students are encouraged to test teachings through personal inquiry and meditation. This inquiry-based learning model is now being integrated into modern educational systems, fostering critical thinking and deep understanding rather than rote memorization. These three insights encapsulate why Buddhism has remained relevant for over 2 millennia. By emphasizing personal experience, providing practical tools, and recognizing multiple valid paths to wisdom, Buddhism fosters a culture of inclusivity and self-discovery. In a world often divided by religious and ideological differences, these principles offer a way forward, one that values unity and diversity and transformation through practice. The timeless wisdom of Buddhism. Buddhism's ability to integrate rather than isolate has made it a profound force for unity in an often divided world. While other religions have struggled with exclusivity, Buddhism has shown that different spiritual traditions are not enemies. They are different expressions of the same quest for wisdom, compassion, and peace. The adaptability of Buddhism is not just a relic of history, but a guiding principle for modern times. As we face religious intolerance, ideological conflicts, and existential dilemmas, Buddhism reminds us that the path to understanding is not about proving one's beliefs superior, but about finding what works to reduce suffering and cultivate wisdom. So here's a challenge. Look beyond differences. Whether you are religious or secular, Buddhist or non-Buddhist, reflect on the teachings that resonate with you. What practices bring you peace? How can you incorporate mindfulness and compassion into your daily life? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Have you ever blended different spiritual practices? How has it changed your perspective? Let's continue this conversation and explore the wisdom that unites us all.